Good evening, everyone, and welcome to talk number 6 of our Blueprint for a Better Marriage seminar series. For tonight, it is a topic that is of particular interest to husbands because it's entitled At Your Service, How Husbands Care for Their Wives. It is my pleasure to introduce our speakers for tonight. So our main speaker has been a top business executive. He has headed one of the units of 3M, and he has been with 3M Philippines for 28 years. But more than that, I am proud that he is my senior head coordinator in Ligaya ng Panginoon. So this is our leadership structure, no, in Ligaya. Our speaker has this responsibility. Okay? There are over 2,000 members of our community. And under him, there are 4 sectors. And then under the different sectors, you have the different districts. Si Henry, who has given the talk here for, I think 3 times, is our district coordinator in one of the districts in the North sector. And all the other speakers that you have had, they have been chosen from the ranks of the district coordinators. Ngayon, ito na tayo. So, kita mo naman ang build-up ko sa'yo, But actually, ang gusto kong introduction sa kanya, he's going to be my future, ano ba term sa Tagalog? Balae. So, my daughter and his son are getting married this coming August. And so, I'm pleased to introduce Andy Juan and his wife, Landa. Now, for those of you who belong to my generation, you would know Landa from TV. She was a very popular TV personality during that time. Yeah, magaling siya. Anyway, so can I call you Andy?
Okay, good evening to all of you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Napakaganda nung yung introduction, nakaka-pressure talaga, no? But actually, just to let you know, yung position ko ngayon, pinapalitan yan every 3 years. So, don't be overly impressed. 3 or 5, depending. And we've got terms of office, no? And maybe because si Charlie ang ganda ng introduction sa akin, siguro dahil may kinalaman ako sa love life nila, no? I'm proud to say na hindi dapat sila nagkatuluyan kundi dahil sa akin. Pero mahabang kwento yun. That's not our topic for the evening. And, but I think more than anything else, I was asking what would be my credential ko kung bakit ako na-imbita rito, because it's been a while since I talked to younger couples, and it's been a while since I got to get oriented back in the book. And I think my most important credential is really the fact that I've been happily married for the last 28 years with my wife, Landa. The blessing that we have, I'm a father of 4. We've got 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, ages 26, 25, 2 girls, 19 and 13. Yeah. And yung aking stint sa 3M, that ended end of 2016. Right, December 2016, I decided to quit corporate life, and I'm trying my hands now on business, small businesses, and so I'm officially unemployed since 2016. But so far so good, and today basically my task is to mainly share with the men. As the topic says, how husbands care for the wives, and in fact during our time it was really mainly just for the guys. So it was never like this. It's always been a setting of one-on-one, no? So inisip ko nga, I wonder what's going on in the minds of the women, who are listening here, and what they want to find out. And it'd be very interesting, you know? And later on, I'm going to make a comment on that. Let me just start probably with a story. A story of our first days of husband and wife. And has something to do with what I call our dining situation. No? Tumatawa na kagad si Peggy, alam natin yung kwento. Kami ni Landa, when we started out, we started with a small apartment sa Scout Rallios, no? Two-door apartment, and you know, I came from a family na mahilig maghanda, you know, we like to eat. Siya rin naman, you know, they love to eat. But our first time to eat together, one of the things na napansin ko, yung plato niya, gabundok. Kaming dalawa lang kumakain, no? So ako ang ugali ko, kukuha ng kanin, kukuha ng ulam. So a little then come back. Di ba gano'n naman ang normal na ginagawa? Sila, gabundok, ang lakas, ang daming kanin, napahinto ako ngayon. Love, sabi ko, bakit ang dami ng pagkain mo? Eh, pwede naman tayo kumuha uli. So sabi niya, hindi mo ba alam? Hindi ba alam mo? Hindi, bakit? Hindi ba alam, di ba 4 na lalaking kapatid ko? At hindi ba, sa amin, pag bagsak ng ulam, nakahanda na kagad yung kutsara at tinidor mo. At kung hindi, wala kang makukuha, no? So sabi, ganun ba? Ako naman with my compassionate eyes, staring at her, sabi ko, love, sabi ko, huwag ka na mag-alala. It's now you and me against the world. So huwag ka na mag-alala, no? Okay ka na, no? Hindi ka na kailangan, hindi ka mauubusan ng tigaga. So, yun nga, no? Talagang I think that was a freeing evening for her, no? Talagang parang tuwa siya and very much assured and all things like that. But slowly, in our life together, we began to discover a couple of things. One, depende sa ulam, pag bangus, pahilig kami pareho sa tiyan. Pag chicken, half chicken lang naman yun, dalawa lang kami. Yung leg and thigh, pareho. Yung sa beef, yung litid, yung taba. Ang nangyayari, paglapag ng ulam, agawan na yun. We ended up competing, quote-unquote, lalo na sa tiyan ng bangus, no? Sabi niya, love, hindi ba sabi mo, I don't need to worry? Pinaalala niya ngayon yung first na yung promise ko, no? Sabi nila, and love, alam mo naman, paborito ko rin yan, Anyway, what happened was, compromise, you know, hating mag-asawa sa tiyan. At eventually, actually, sa chicken, she shifted to white meat, no? Siya ang nagsakripisyo. Ako, I stayed with the leg and thigh and all of these things. So, anyway, thank you. Kala dalawang tubig ko. I think the moral of the story is that we can really make promises of being the knight in shining armor of our partners, but unless we really act on it, unless we do something about it, it remains a promise. Buti na lang, she gave me 27 years to prove to her that I can still be that knight in shining armor. And so today, what I want to do is really to share with you some of the learnings. I know you have a copy of the book and you probably read that. What I'm going to do is just probably reinforce some of the things you've read there, especially the men, but also add up some of the things I've learned to experience, my personal experience, and also some of the things I've observed working with other husbands and other men, you know, who are trying their best to be also good husbands. And my outline is very simple. I'm just going to cover three main topics. First is, the main task is really to shed light on the role of the men, and probably shed light on the understanding of the women on headship and leadership in the family, and what it really means to care for the spouses. Then I'm going to move on to just some of the obstacles, maybe not an exhaustive list of obstacles that could prevent us from caring for our wives. And I'm going to end with some practical and doable actions to get it started. So just a 3-point outline that I hope everyone could follow, and then later on, could help in your discussion later on. Let me start with just some Christian principles for better understanding of headship or leadership in the family. By now, I think you've been exposed to this passage. I was looking at the other past talks and other chapters that you've read. You've come across this probably a number of times in the different presentations in Ephesians 5. And hopefully some of the misconceptions, if there are, or misunderstanding about what the role of husbands and wives are, especially the whole area of submission that the wives give to the husband, is something that is not really pertaining to being bossy or being domineering as far as leading the wife is concerned, but it's really pertaining to the role of the husband as someone who ought to be caring for his wife in the same way that Christ cared for the church. The intent is really to put order in that relationship, and the intent is really to allow the husband to care for his wife in the same way that Christ cared for the church. So, if the model is Christ, ang ibig talaga sabihin nun, if Christ gave His life for the church, what it really means is that if Christ gave His life for us, what it really means is we husbands or we men are called upon to lay down our lives for our wives or for our spouses. Actually, what is missing probably there is verse 25, which is the more important thing, which reads, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave Himself up for her." So again, if Christ is the model, what it really means, what Christian family leadership really means, is laying down your life for your spouse. I've always maintained that love is a verb. No, it's not just a feeling, an emotion. We hear it in the songs that we listen to nowadays. We see it in the movies and things like that. But it's really a verb. And one of the most important expression of it is really servant love. I think Chito and Luz talked about this the last time around when we talked about agape. And what really, along with the passage in Ephesians, what it's really trying to do is really redefining what headship is all about, redefining what leadership in family is all about. And what I want to do is reinforce that passage in Ephesians by continuing to just quickly browse through 3 quick passages in the Bible that will allow us to understand more and more ano ba tong family leadership, headship of a husband na sinasabi ni St. Paul. Now, note that these passages, the context by which they were used are not in the context of marriage, but in the context of personal relationships. But they're very applicable. There's passages that I'm going to be just citing very quickly are very applicable to husband and wife relationships. The first passage that comes to mind is, the washing of the feet. It's Holy Thursday, a few days from now, and the gospel message na maririnig nating lahat sa mga simbahan is really the washing of the feet. And what happened here, I'm not going to narrate anymore the whole passage, is the Lord Himself. He said that, yes, you call me Lord and teacher, and truly I am, but in the same way I've washed your feet, I want you to wash one another's feet. And what He's trying to do is really setting up an example. What I've given you is an example. You must also wash one another's feet. You find this in John 13. The next passage that is kind of connected to that is the one found in Luke 22. Ang backgrounder dito is the disciples, His followers, were having a dispute on who's going to be great in the kingdom of God. Who's going to actually sit on the right and the left of Jesus. And the Lord corrected them and says, you want to be great? You want to be a leader? You want to be, you want to occupy the best seats of the house? You got to serve. You got to serve the rest. Whoever wants to be great must serve the rest. It's the new definition of what it means to lead. It's a new definition of what it means to basically be a servant of one another. So again, He's kind of changing. The Lord is changing the thinking about what it means to really lead. The last but not the least is a writing of St. Paul in Philippians 2. And this is basically in Philippians 2 where he's basically referring to what the Lord Jesus did and who was God in every right, in every form, and yet did not count being His God something that He should grasp at. And it starts with the passage, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest. And I think that's a key part of it. Not looking to your own interest, but to each of the interest of others. So, if I apply it to the relationship of husband and wife, we men are called upon, and of course, even the women are called upon not to look at our own interest, but to look at the interest of our spouse. Again, what it means is serving one another, serving our spouse, not dominating, not leading necessarily, leading in the sense of not domineering over them, but leading in the sense of serving them, looking at what will meet their interest, what will meet their needs. Having said that, having given you a sort of a background on the principles, Christian principles, I want to now move to some of the obstacles. And as I said, itong mga obstacles na to is, again, based on my own personal experience and based on what I've seen many people have struggled with. And I've just basically identified 5. The first obstacle that prevents many men, many husbands from caring for their wives is simply pride or the lack of honesty and humility to admit that there's a gap, there's a lack in the caring aspect, and that this is a problem. People say that the first step to arriving at a solution is to first admit that there's a problem. Not too long ago, I went to the States sometime in 2017, and I visited a friend, matagal ko siyang kaibigan, former office mate, and in fact, former member of the community that I'm part of. And to cut the long story short, wala siyang, he's not in a community environment, wala siyang sort of support. So we had a man-to-man talk, and nagbuo siya ng kanyang concerns and something to do with his married life. And I was listening intently to his story, and basically inuungkat niya yung pinagdaanan nilang husband and wife. They've been married probably about the same time we are, more than 20 years. They've got a number of children, very established, but one thing very concerning about their relationship is that, magkasama sila sa isang bahay, but they're hardly talking to one another. They have already they're sleeping in separate rooms. Sometimes they eat together, most of the time they don't. And they're almost avoiding one another. Magluluto si lalaki, andyan ang pagkain, kung gustong kumain ni babae, fine, kung hindi, fine. They are co-workers in the sense that they have a business. And the guy is managing it. The lady is the one the main. Her services are the main source of income. But while I was listening, one of the things that I was trying to get the guy to recognize is ano bang root cause and root problem? Because as he was relaying his concern, a lot of it has something to do. Laging tinuturo niya yung wife niya, and he was really digging up stories of 10, 15 years ago. And I'd say, nag-sorry na ba siya? Oh, nag-sorry na, pero hindi pa rin niya makalimutan, hindi pa rin niya pinapatawad. Maybe partly pinatawad niya na, verbally, but deep in his heart, obvious na hindi pa, because it keeps on, every time he just remembers the faults of his spouse, just the anger comes back. Bumabalik yung init ng ulo niya, bumabalik yung galit niya, and it's really nakakaawa. I've never seen someone who's in a situation like that. And sinusubukan ko sa aming conversation na for him to recognize that you have a role for this to happen. Una, the lack of forgiveness or the lack of understanding for the partner. Pero talagang there was just a hardness of heart there. Talagang walang capability to even admit. And I've never seen someone so proud, and so difficult in terms of just admitting and being humble enough to say that I am part of the problem. Now, many times, for some reason or another, a lot of the men have grown in families where that's just ang palakad lang talaga is that the man is like the guy in charge, the boss, a little bit bossy, a little bit domineering, and so the attitude is really one of kailangan sumunod ang babae. kailangan sumunod si Mrs. And many times this is passed on from one family to another. And so pride has been a regular source of concern for many, an obstacle. The other that I've seen at work in many couples, in many men, is insecurity. Again, it's kind of related to pride in the sense that if I serve my wife, the attitude is something like, if I serve my wife too much, I may just appear like I'm stooping down. Or pag nakita ko ng mga kaibigan ko, nagsisilbi, nagluluto para sa misis ko, baka kala under ako. No? Under desire. I don't know if that terminology is, naiintindihan niyo yun? Panahon namin na, yun. Hindi ko alam ang gape, no? So, or baka mawili, baka mag-expect, if I continue being good. Obviously, these kinds of attitudes are ruled by selfishness or self-concern. Too much focus and attention on oneself. Again, sadly, there are men like this. There are still men like this who they hesitate to give more because it creates a perception that they're losing part of their manhood by giving more, by serving more their spouses or their wives. A predominant obstacle is simply ignorance. Ignorance, you don't know how to start, you don't know where to start. A lot of us, we saw what our parents did and we're just following how our parents did it. And whether it's related to pride or insecurity, we don't know anything better. There's a difference between me and my wife. Ako lumaki sa isang pamilya na hindi expressive. You know, we don't say I love you to one another. We hardly give gifts. No, nagta-thank you naman from time to time, no? But just, hindi naman very cold, don't get me wrong. We're warm to one another, but just the expression of words is kind of limited. Yeah. But alam mo, and my parents really worked hard to keep us all. Hindi po nakatapos ng pag-aaral ang mga magulang ko. Very simple people. We started a store in Divisoria and worked hard for it. Got us all into school. Pero I remember just watching them growing up, watching them handle their own conflicts. It's a typical, argument, but alam mo yung cold shoulder treatment na mag-aaway sila, marinig mo nag-aaway sa room, then the next couple of hours, talagang tahimik. Lalabas na lang si tatay, lalabas si nanay, hindi mag-uusap, kakain si tatay, hindi kakain si nanay, hindi kakain si tatay. So talaga nag-iiwasan. And buti sana if this is hours or days. Sometimes it takes a week. So kami na, hindi namin of course, we didn't know anything better, but that's like the norm. And worse, sometimes pa nga nakita ko, talagang nag-walk away yung tatay ko for a couple of days na wala. Hindi ko alam saan pumunta, no? Hindi naman, he just basically stayed with one of the relatives. And again, that's a pattern that I saw. And you don't know anything better. Now, ginaya ko ba yun? Hindi naman, hindi ko ginaya yun. Pero one trait na nakita ko, may tendency rin pala akong yung ganun, yung pwede ako magtampo, yung parang pag merong hindi ginawa para sa akin, I saw myself na may tendency to, wag na lang tayo manood sine, wag lang tayo lumabas. Nakita ko yun sa tatay ko. Yun. Sabi ko, totoo pala pwede mong gayain kung ano yung na-observe mo, ano yung nakikita ko. And buti na lang my wife, Landa, is a lot different. She's someone who's very expressive. She actually taught me how to, express myself more because, if you have a wife like her, talagang you'd end up expressing your love more, because I love you nang I love you araw-araw, no? So, mapipilitan ka rin maganda. Hindi ako napipilitan. Talagang, so, malambing talaga yung misis ko. And then, the whole thing about cold shoulder treatment, hindi pwede kay Landa yun dahil she wants things settled too, as quickly as possible. At I'm blessed that I became part of this community. I took this seminar just weeks or months before we got married. A couple prepared us. And right there and then, I saw some of the tendencies. In fact, my favorite chapter is communication. That never say never, never say always, those kinds of things. Marami akong, so in fact, I guess what I want to say is, sino ba sa atin ang, nakatanggap ng initial instruction? Is there a subject in school, in college, husband and wife 101 or parenting 101? Wala, di ba? So, buti na lang, at least kami sa, in the community where I'm part of, merong mga nagtiyaga na tumutulong sa amin, and kinda, we got spared a bit. I'm not saying ours is a perfect marriage. We had our own petty quarrels, and later on you'll hear from her, but the petty ones. Pero ang laking pasasalamat ko is that I could have been a victim of this ignorance, because I see my friends in the company. Another kwento, yung meron akong office mate, I'm trying to get him out of a possible annulment, because again, same story. They don't know how to communicate to one another. There's suspicion of a third party, super selosa yung misis niya. I was trying to do my part, to talk to him first, and then actually I wanted to invite even the couples. Pero ayaw magpatulong at either nahihiya. But when I see those kinds of stories, nangihinayang po ako dahil there's help available. There's practical help, practical wisdom, not just in Ligaya, in our community, but in many ways too, if only people know where the source of help is. So I think for us, I think the men here, sana ma-realize nyo na it's really a blessing na kahit papano ay nakakatanggap kayo ng ganitong klaseng input, because I'm not saying it's a guarantee for total bliss, but I'm saying that it's a source of practical help for those who are trying to improve their married life and who wants to also serve their spouses better. Another obstacle, and this one is, I don't need to sugarcoat this. It's plain laziness. I mean, some men are just plain lazy to do something about it. Actually, some men know what they have to do from day one. They know what the teaching is, what they're supposed to do. They know their character, they know their weaknesses, they know what their spouses need, but they're just lazy for some reason or another. Why? Because it requires work, consistency, faithfulness to something. It's a commitment, and many men today are afraid of making that commitment. And many times the expressions come in different forms. In not wanting to communicate, alam naman nila na the wife is waiting for, even in our community where we're trying to get younger people to have that dialogue, the complaint that some of the sisters or some of the women are saying, my husband just don't want to talk, for some reason, or forgets about it, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And at the end of it, you talk to the husband, to the guy, it's plain laziness. Minsan, sabi, nakalimutan ko lang, pero if someone really is serious about his relationship with his spouse, he can do something about it. Or missing out or not fulfilling decisions already agreed on. Now, sometimes this is coupled with some factors. One, some of the men that we talk to, some of the men I talk to, I don't do it anymore because we just end up fighting. If we communicate, we just end up fighting. She just ends up nagging me. Or a lack of certainty or faith that things cannot be resolved anyway. Things will not be resolved anyway. So wag na lang. It's really partly a lack of faith or a lack of resolve and a complete surrender to the circumstances that they are in as a family. But and later on I'll say something about this when I say that men really are the ones who's supposed to make it happen. Men ought to be accountable. And I hold the men responsible if some of the things that ought to be happening are not happening. Last obstacle that come to mind is really just the sin of assuming and presuming, and especially for those who've known each other for a long time. We've been married 28 years. I'm sure, alam naman niyang mahal ko siya. Alam naman niyang, I care. Alam naman niyang I will listen. Yun lang nga, I'm absent. Yung aming one-to-one, hindi ako sumisipot, nakakalimutan ko. No? But I need to, again, love is a verb. It's not an issue of I meant to, I wanted to, I really desired to do it, but your wife is there waiting. And the important thing really is for us to not to assume that everything is the same. The other thing that you need to take note, guys, is that it's also dangerous because we need to understand, dangerous to assume na everything is okay or to presume na she understands it na naman. Because people change. You know, the seasons of life change, our wives change. One specific example is, di ba, pag nabuntis sila, I mean, I'm talking more to the married now rather than the engaged couples. Pag nabuntis na ang misis, there's a lot of physical and physiological changes going on in their bodies. And sometimes it can cause some insecurities. You know, tumataba, lumalaking ilong, lumalaking muka. I mean, and yet you have to assure them na, mahal pa rin kita. Ay, reality yun eh. Talaga, at babalik naman sila sa kanilang shape, no? Most of them do. I mean, but I think as men, we need to continue to really assure them of our love and our commitment despite these changes. So to assume that what worked 10 years ago, 20 years ago can work today is sometimes a false assumption. We need to be in touch. Kaya nga yung mga nagsalita before me, they're recommending weekly dialogue, you know. Make the communication as often as possible because you don't even know what your wife is going through. You don't know the changes that they're going through. Maybe not just from the outside, but internally, you know, their sense of security, their sense of faith and confidence, what's going on in terms of just their perception of your love for them and your ability to care for them. Having said that, let me now just move into some practical expressions. Again, this is not a complete list. I decided to keep this short, and there's more in the book that you could look at. Why? Because I did not want to overwhelm you gentlemen in terms of this list. I didn't want you to do a lot of things to do after this meeting. I'd rather that you take on bite-size, and chewable attempts at taking care of your spouses, of your partners. There's a saying that that I've learned early in my married life, that expressing love increases love. Again, it supports that just a whole terminology about love being a verb. Again, meaning to do is not enough. You got to act on it. You got to do something about it. And I'm taking on more of a general steps. I have only three recommendations for you. One is the area of taking responsibility. Big word, right? Napakalawak na statement dyan. But before I get into the specifics, I think, guys, it's good to know that our wives, our partners, want us really engaged and involved in their lives, in their personal lives, in our married life together. God probably is the model, and naabutan ko to dati and I've seen this in some families, the imagery or the model that husbands are supposed to go to the office, earn a living, come home, sit on the sofa, relax, tataas ang mga paa nila, at either manonood na lang ng TV, makikinig ng radyo, or magbabasa ng dyaryo, wag mo na siya istorbohin. Anything, that was the imagery of, that I am aware of growing up, about how many fathers, how many husbands, kind of carry themselves. I think in this age and era, mas naging complicated. You've got the internet, you've got all these other distractions that they can take on the attention of a father, of a husband, from many other responsibilities that he has in the home. I think the first expression of taking responsibility that I can think of is just in the area of making decisions or giving directions. Now, when I say that, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying ikaw lang na bilang lalaki you have a monopoly on making decisions. When I say making decisions, it's really just taking responsibility and get your wife or get your partner talking about these things before you decide. In fact, at times even delegating that decision. But at least someone is in charge. Someone is taking responsibility. Someone is acting on a certain area of our life na hindi nakalimutan. As much as possible, all bases covered. Nangyari na ba sa inyo, those who are married, na there's a long weekend that has happened, would have been a perfect occasion for either a reunion of a family and relatives, or probably a family outing, or probably to clean up the garage, or maybe to clean the garden. Something, a major project na pwede sana nangyari that long weekend, pero wala, dumaan yung long weekend. Walang nangyari. Anong ginawa natin? Ewan ko, ano nangyari long weekend? Kumain lang tayo, or, natulog, And yet, ang dami talagang pwedeng gawin. Sayang yung weekend. Pwedeng nagbagyo, nag-beach or something, but something productive. And many times, either walang kumikilos, walang nag-iisip, walang nagpaplano. Men, that's our role. It's good for us to think about this. Of course, discussions or suggestions would come from our partners, but if someone is really just on top of that, hey, there's a long weekend coming up, let's plan on it. How about doing this? How about doing this as a family? How about inviting Tito and Tita here at the house? Or how about cleaning up the garage? Ang dami na nag-accumulate na gamit. No? O purge tayo, mag-garage sale tayo. At least may nangyayari. Our wives love that when we are involved in our day-to-day in some of these things. Another area of taking responsibility is time and money matters. Yung time, nabanggit ko na yun, just in terms of overseeing schedule. Landa likes it when I really take initiative of overseeing even her schedule. Lalo na ngayon, more sa service sa community. And in fact, recently, I kind of gave her a sort of a direction to, I think kailangan mong bawasan yung mga committee involvement mo. When I say committee, she's almost part of many committees in our community. And I said, I think your focus should be here in this service. Pwede mo na siguro ipasa itong isang responsibility to someone else, because there's a lot of women who are able to do that. And she found that very helpful, di ba? I think it was very freeing for someone to really kind of help her sort it out. Of course, tinaro niya rin sa kanya mga ibang leaders na mga babae, women leaders niya. Pero it was an input from me on my way of caring for her schedule. Money matters. What I know is what she knows as far as money is concerned. I want to make sure that this is a common responsibility for us. So we talk about it. So she knows why I'm getting strict on spending and where things that are allowed. Sige, pwede, we can invest in that or we can buy that, Ilang beses tayo nagpalit ng kama, ng kutsyon. For some reason, hinahirapan sa back or things like that. So, a lot of discussion sa kutsyon lang. Kutsyon, kung anong klaseng kutsyon ang gagamitin namin. Kasi yung aming unang kutsyon, 15 years na raw, kaya tumutunog na yung spring na masakit na. Nagpalit ng hindi spring na masakit pa rin ang likod namin. Nagpalit ng spring uli. Para, ewan ko saan bibigay yung iba. So, even for something like that, nakakatawa o minsan some mistakes and sometimes can cost you some money. Ngayon, naghahanap kami ng buyer actually. Extra kutsyon. But it's good to go through that. Priority spending. Ayan, alam ko, big issue yan minsan sa mag-asawa. Pero kung, as men, we take responsibility, ang laking tulong yan. I think one of the, again, area na talagang I watch out is really our date night, and I'm guilty as charged. I miss on some of those. And minsan ang kalaban is either two things. One is a talk like this, hindi, joke. Monday night kami. Or, other important, seeming important events. Mga bata involved. Dati, pag may kinalaman sa trabaho at talagang hindi pwedeng iwasan, she understands and lilipat na lang namin. Pero, again, it's part of my responsibility to protect that time. To protect those Monday nights and say, yeah, this is my time with my wife. I gotta protect that. Kids, I mentioned to you the ages, the different stages na dumadaan sila. Who's gonna talk to Noel? Who's gonna talk to Paolo? No? I've noticed these things with Cecil and Angela. No? Too much exposure to internet, etc., etc. Who's gonna do those kinds of one-on-one to, to reinforce some of the rules? And what kind of results are we gonna expect? We need to talk about that, no? Or else, before you know it, ayan, 13 years old na yun, dati naming baby na 8 years old. Ang bilis ng panahon. In 5 years, dalagang-dalaga na, hindi na masyadong umahalik sa akin, no? Practical needs, repairs, papalitan yung gulong ng kotse, yung minamaneho niya, ako nag-oversee ng sasakyan niya, no? Kung due na for the tire change or tune-up or something like that. Those are practical things that I take responsibility to make sure that hindi naman siya, wala namang mangyari sa daan in all of these things. Second area that I can talk about is meeting her needs. Now, the needs of a woman, marami yan, emotional, spiritual, physical, sexual. A lot can talk about, but maybe what I can highlight is really basically just the most important thing that I think that she always expressed to me is really time with her, bonding time with her. I tell you a story again, flashback nung aming unang days na mag-asawa. So I would come home, I was a salesman, it was my first job, so very busy, pagod, I wanted to, yung image yung sinasabi ko kanina, upo sa sala, bubuksan yung TV, manonood ng PBA or whatever ang palabas doon. And here she is, approaching me at the end of the day, asking me, saan ka kumain? Anong kinain mo? Sinong kasama mo? Yan, sunod-sunod yung mga tanong yan. Now, mangyari yan once, okay. Kaso halos araw-araw, ganun ang tanong, no? So, sabi ko, ano ba to? Nagsususpetsa ba to? Ano bang, parang nag-uusisa, masyado ng detail para sa akin. And I kind of resented that at the start. So parang either I probably didn't ask the right questions or, I let my moods get ahead of me. Talagang it created some petty quarrels. Up to the extent, nagtampo talaga siya sa akin. Then I tried to, of course, I need to patch things, ayoko kausapin for some, sandali lang, hours. But one of the things I discovered by clarifying things is that yung pala, totoo naman, buong araw siya nasa bahay, ang kausap lang niya yung nag-iisa naming katulong na pamangkin niya, na hindi pa niya kasundo. Nag-aaway pa sila ng kanyang pamangkin niyang katulong. So she was looking for an intelligent and intelligent discussion or conversation with someone, with anyone. Of course, may kapitbahay kami ron. Some of them taga-community rin. Pero here was the time with her spouse, and here I was rejecting it because I misunderstood those line of questioning. Kala ko nag-uusisa, kala ko inimbestigahan ako. Kasi talagang yung tanong parang investigador. No? But I did not realize, I failed to understand that she was just wanting communication. And that was just a lesson for me. Hindi na naulit yung aking pagsuspetsa. No? And siya mismo, every time she'd ask, now I still forget where I ate and what I ate. No? I don't give a good account of how my day went. Pero she's able to accept that. Emotional needs, again, women go through different things, different cycles, and it's important for us to be around. After a pregnancy, after a delivery, postpartum blues, women go through that, and she did go through that a number of times, and I needed to make sure that I'm able to at least be present. Lately, her dad got sick, and again, it has created some emotional, pressure in her family. Again, for me to understand what's going on and just, wala ka naman talaga minsan magagawa but just be present, be listening, be available to listen, be available to help. Some practical stuff, many times puyat siya, she needs more sleep, I take care of bringing the kids. The mama needs to sleep, longer hours, do the driving errands. Give her time to be with her close friends, hindi yung sa bahay na lang, or just fellowship with, let her be a woman and just go away, go malling, or go have a massage with some friends. Just make sure that some of those needs are met. Last but not the least, I think it's important that we men establish the role of our spouses in our lives and the value that she has to you. The concept of, maganda sa community namin, yung concept ng honoring, we take time out during, hindi lang birthday, but special occasions to really honor our spouses, to honor them for what they've done in our lives, how important they are. And we do that as a family in front of the kids. I do that when I introduce her to my office mates, to my bosses. I establish her as my partner, as someone who plays a very important role in my life. And one of the things I watch out too is to make sure that my kids respect her. The kids growing up, one of the talagang no for me is pag nagtaas na sila ng boses. Minsan intentionally, minsan unintentionally. If I sense that the line of the tone of the voice is, and even the way they're speaking is disrespectful, I really come into the conversation. I said, tone it down. That's not the way to speak to your mom. That's not the way to speak to your mother. And minsan nakakatawa itong mga bata kasi alam nila na fathers are supposed to be the head of the house, etc. Minsan magpapaalam, tinitweak nila yung teaching na yun eh. Lalo na kung gusto nila makalusot, Papa, ikaw naman ang head of the house eh. Di ba? Ikaw naman ang head of the house eh. Ikaw na, payagan mo na kami. Kasi alam nila, ayaw sila payagan ng nanay nila. So I make sure hindi kami nagko-conflict. Ano sabi ng nanay mo? Hindi raw eh. O di hindi. But I try to listen. I want to make sure her role is established very well in the eyes of the kids. Hindi kami dapat nag-iiba ng stance. Of course, we talk and we can change our decision, but at least we've talked about it na we can be consistent. In closing, I want to say that I thought for a while, this would be just a purely men's audience because ang original talk was really how husbands care for their wives. But I said I can almost hear two conversations after this presentation in the car. One is probably among the men, they're saying, oh no, she heard all about it. Lagot na ako ngayon, So all these expectations have been created. Well, probably the wives are going to say, kita mo na, sabi ni Kuya Andy. So all sorts of pressure can happen, but I think you're mature enough to know that, again, we are just all starting here. Some take time, and we don't want that silent pressure to take place. Maybe lastly, words of advice to you in terms of handling all of this. One is be patient. I think we need patience in terms of taking on this attitude. 1 Corinthians 13 says, love is patient, love is kind. It will require a lot of patience. For us men, patient with ourselves. For our partners to be patient with us. Did you know that the scriptural meaning of patience is long-suffering or enduring or waiting? So some of these might take a while, Huwag naman sana lifetime, But that's what being patient means. You are able to suffer a bit, waiting for the change to take place. Of course, not in surrender, but in active dialogue, in active involvement. Again, we need to recognize, guys, that we are a work in progress. God isn't done with each one of us yet. And for the ladies, make room for God to work. Make room for God to work in your partner's life, and things don't necessarily happen overnight. Understanding, maybe similar to patience, it's really understanding the limitations sometimes of, the exercise kanina showed you the personalities and the tendencies of each one of us. We're all made different, and you've heard a presentation on that. We're different from one another. So it's good to recognize the limitations. But some things I ask myself when we get into these topics, to this parang, ipopursue ba to, or will I pursue this argument or not? Some of the questions I use, and I'll share it with you guys. Sometimes I ask, is this an area of preference or right or wrong? You know, ito bang pinag-uusapan namin, preference ko lang o may tama o mali involved dito? If it's the latter, I will probably want to make sure we're doing the right thing. If it's sinful, we have to stop it. Second question is, in the hierarchy of things, how important is this? What is the higher value? Magdakdakan kami rito or the peace and unity that we're aspiring, no? Kung hindi kami magkasundo. I look for what is important to establish or to attain at least this evening in our discussion. Or is this discussion argument worth fighting for today, or can I park it for a while, for tomorrow? No. Last thing, what is the wise thing to do? Now, there's no easy answer to those questions. A lot of it is sometimes, you know, quick calls, no, from you guys. But hindi lahat require the same kind of attention. Hindi lahat ng topics, hindi lahat ng areas of disagreement will require the same kind of intensity and attention. The last thing I'd like to say is encouragement. I think we need to experience encouragement from the Lord, because we know that there is grace available. We also need to experience or expect encouragement from our partners. I think I must say that after all that I shared tonight, I'd like to tell you that I am really a blessed man, because I married someone who loved the Lord and someone who's a great woman of the Lord. In fact, I will use the word, I'm pampered. I'm a pampered man. I mean, just to describe the way I've been taken care of for the last 28 years. Nahirapan kami ng konti to kind of put more color into it. Kasi, ano ba yung mga malaking away natin, ha? Ano ba talaga? We were trying to dig up in the 28 years, at talaga karamihan ng aming mga away petty. Nakakahiya nga ikwento, kasama na rin yung ulam, kasama na rin yung, maybe because, I think there were times she cried or I made her cry. There were times she did hurt me, but no major big thing, thank God, so far, na talagang kind of shook our marriage and really made us question one another. And I think a lot of that is really grace. A lot of that is the patience, encouragement, and understanding. A lot of that is also learning from others who did it before. Older men and women who made the same mistakes, and we're being spared probably by learning from them. Yung aming mga other older brothers and sisters in the community. And so I just want to end by, kinuwento ko yung buhay namin when we were starting. But today I say in front of you that I'm a blessed man. I married someone who really loved me, and I'm very confident of that. But someone who's also been patient with me, who've given me the encouragement and confidence to be the protector, the governor, and the provider that I am today in our family. Thank you very much, and I hope this sharing did help you one way or another. Your turn.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Landa, and I'm actually tasked to just share with you a few instances of our stories in our lives. I'm a bit distracted. Can you take this off? Thank you. Tama yung sinabi ni Andy, a lot of the difficulties or struggles, I think the Lord spared a lot because we have experienced this wisdom that has been shared to you over the past weeks. One of the greatest need a wife would have is actually plain and simple affection. I remember one time at the start of our marriage, I was working for our family business, and our office was in Makati, and Andy's office was in Sukat. And so, he will drop me off lang coming from Quezon City, he would drop me off at SM Makati. And then I'll proceed and commute going towards Pasong Tamo. And he would tell me, alam mo, nahirapan ako pag nakikita kitang nagko-commute. You know, just that one line already lit up my, parang, you might call it medyo mababaw, no? Parang ang babaw naman, yun lang, happy ka na. Pero sa totoo lang, happy na ako dun sa fact na iniisip niya na nahihirapan ako. And parang it totally changed my perspective about commuting because I know someone cares for me, someone loves me, and parang yung sa advertisement niya, parang nasa ere ka, parang mahaba ang hair mo, parang ganon. That type of a thing, knowing that you are loved. And for women, when they know that they are loved, they can do anything. And they can go through all sorts of inconvenience, all sorts of difficulties with a smile and with so much love in their heart. Do you agree, women? Yes, thank you. Many times also for us women, hindi naman namin hinahanap yung malalaking bagay. Minsan, maliliit, hindi. Small things, a sweet whisper, a tap on the shoulder, a good encouraging word, or just a simple, you look beautiful today, a nice comment, a hand held when you're going through difficulty, a short encouragement in saying, kaya mo yan, or have a good day, or I'll be praying for you. Those are just small words, small actions that you can do that expresses affection to the woman that you love. And I think it doesn't even take 10 seconds to do it. And so I don't think it takes so much, I wouldn't say we're being demanding when we say we need some affection. Does it, for the men, can I ask the men, is it hard, the first one that I just said? Is it hard to do? They don't know, or hard? No, it's not hard. But I think for those who have not been doing it, for those who are ignorant, for those who have not, or those who are lazy, for those who are not putting it at top of their mind to show affection, it will really be difficult to start. And I think for us, we want to be patient with our spouses, and hopefully we can take the necessary steps to show that we love our spouses. When a woman knows that she is loved and valued for who she is, not because she's able to bring money to the home or to the table, not because she's able to cook well or clean the house well or keep the house well kept, and not because she's talented or skilled. When a woman knows that she is loved for who she is, just being me, just being herself, then she's able to flourish. And she can do so many things beyond your wildest dreams. Both practically, physically, spiritually. Iba talaga ang pakiramdam ng babae pag alam niyang mahal siya ng asawa niya. It really makes a big difference. And it allows that woman to bloom. When you're in love, you do all sorts of crazy things, right? Especially if you look back at the start, you'll do all sorts. Kahit ayaw mo magpa-picture, kung gusto mo magpa-picture, magpapa-picture ka. You'll do crazy things for the one that you love. And we don't want that to stop when you get married. We don't want that to stop when you get engaged. But we want you to flourish even more in the coming days, in the coming years of your marriage. Alam nyo, pag may edad na, kailangan ng salamin. In denial ako eh. When we got married, super cute ang budget namin. We got married 1990. So, ganitong scenario dati. Ang salary niya, 7,000. Ang salary ko, 3,000. Kasi part-time lang yung trabaho ko sa family business namin. So, total 10,000. Nag-spotting ako after a few months when I got pregnant. So, nabawasan yung 3,000. Kasi I had to stop from working. So, magkano na lang? 7,000. O, gising pa sila. Tapos, ang rent namin, ng apartment namin, 3,500. So, magkano lang natira? 3,500. We really had to work around our budget. We come from, simple lang naman yung mga pamilya namin, pero kumbaga, kung dati Tang ang juice, dati kasi Tang ang juice eh, doon muna kami sa 8 o'clock. Kung dati Nescafe, ay dito muna kami sa, ano bang mas mababa? Nakalimutan ko na. Great Taste, yeah, or Blend 45, yung ganon. A lot of parang adjusting to the lifestyle that we were used to. But even if, you know, there was, mag-grocery kami, sabay kami mag-grocery, hanapin namin kung saan yung pinakamura. I think at that time it was Unimart in Green Hills. Wala na ngayon Unimart doon. Pero ang joy namin after getting what we need in our family, for our family, sa cashier, talagang nagsasparkle na yung eyes ko kasi at the end, meron kaming 10 peso budget para bumili ng Nestle Alpine White. And we couldn't wait to get home. After that, we will go by the bench, sit down, and, okay, hating kapatid So talagang kailangan well-demarcated yung ano. And, you know, we would nibble the chocolate, savoring the half chocolate each that we have. But I never felt, kawawa ka naman, yan lang ang makain mo. I never felt deprived because my love tank was full. I never felt deprived or kawawa kasi there was so much openness and honesty and transparency in our relationship that it was very easy to go through something difficult. At one point, I could not even afford, when I already had a baby, I could not even afford to have one diaper at night, which meant at the middle of the night, I have to change the diapers of my son so that hindi siya sobrang drenched. And talagang puyat kung sa puyat. But hindi ko pinamukha sa asawa ko na hindi mo man lang kaya kung, you know, bigyan ng isang diaper a night. I didn't have the heart to complain because I knew if kaya naman, he would have given it. But I knew that hindi talaga kaya, so I have to, you know, tighten the belt and really just do what is asked for me for at that time. But then, kahit nahihirapan ako, masaya ako kasi nagmamahalan kami eh. Di ba nga, when you love someone and you know that you are loved and cared for, it just works wonders. Number 3. I just have 4 stories, by the way. Number 3. In one of our dialogues, in our one-to-one, I expressed to him na, ganda siguro para makabit ko na yung mga nirigalo sa atin. Maganda siguro kung may China cabinet ako, no? Kaya lang at that time, syempre, mahal ang China cabinet. Di kaya ng budget namin. Siya naman, one time, sabi niya, sarap siguro magkaroon ng TV. Kasi para makanood na ako ng basketball. So, you know, one of those fleeting thoughts. And then, one day, nung medyo meron na kaming extra, aba, nauna pagbili ng TV. Sabi ko, sales. Sales naman yung asawa ko, kaya magaling yan mag-convince. So, nauna yung TV. So, hindi naman ako nag-complain. Parang, yeah, okay, no big deal. And a few days after, he told me, "Love, ganito ha. May dadating dito ang pangalan, parang, basta he gave a name of a guy. Talagang pinapunta ko siya dyan. Tapos, buksan mo yung pinto, papasukin mo, kasi may ibibigay siya sa'yo." Okay. So, akala ko naman a client of some sort. So, medyo nagbihis ako ng konti. True enough, that day, dumating. Yung pangalan nung yung pangalan nung furniture shop na kapaskil dun sa sasakyan. Kaya na-recognize ko na yun pala. He actually surprised me with a china cabinet. So, wow. Sale din. Tunay, $295. It really feels different for us women when we know that we are listened to. It makes a big difference na nag-register sa mind nyo kung ano yung pangangailangan namin. I'm not saying that all of our wants or needs will be met. I think, ano yan, parang pacing yan and prioritizing yan. But it's good to know, I really felt so much loved when my love tank was full again when he did that surprise. What a pleasant surprise. Kailan yung next surprise, love? Number 4, emotional care and support. I'm naturally a talkative person. Obvious ba? Pero pag nag-away kami, tahimik ako. Kasi, I'm afraid I might say something bad na hindi ko na ma-retract, hindi ko na mabawi. So I'm just quiet. And I do the cold shoulder treatment because I know he hates it. So that was my way of revenge, in a small way. And one thing that's really, again, I realized na mahal niya talaga ako kasi ang guys, they're very compartmentalized, di ba? Kumbaga, they can leave the house and kahit na may trouble sa house, they can leave the house and go to work and do well outside. Ang women, most women, perhaps not all, kumbaga kung upset ka sa bahay, buong araw yan, dala-dala ko yan, the whole day. It sets the tone of my entire day. So kung magkaaway kami, talagang ang bigat-bigat talaga, very emotional draining for me. And so what he does is, as soon as possible, kung kaya namin the night na nag-away kami ma-resolve, he resolves it. Kung hindi naman, he would make sure before leaving for work na nagkaayusan na kami. So ganito namin malalaman kung okay na kami. Kung magsasorry na and all, pag-usapan na, sige, kiss. Pag yung kiss, nag-touch lang sa cheek, walang sound, ibig sabihin hindi pa okay. So, kiss. So, kiss ka ulit. Wala pa ring sound, pakipot pa rin ako eh. Wala pa ring sound. Ano ba yan? So, the moment na mag-kiss na may sound, ibig sabihin, okay na. So, ganun yung way namin of patching up. But, you know, I'm sure all of you will have your own ways of patching up, own ways of discovering one another, how you can build your relationship with one another. But it's important for the men to know that women, it really bothers them. Before, ano pa ako eh, mas immature pa ako dati. Dati, pag nag-away kami, inis na inis ako kasi kaya niyang matulog. Ako, habang tulog siya, umiiyak. Kasi I'm so hurt, but actually, petty rin yun, hindi ko na rin matandaan kung ano yung pinag-awayan namin. Sabi ko, bakit kayang-kaya niya matulog? Ako, you know, parang alugi, di ba? Lugi, parang cannot be. So I learned through time that we can agree to disagree. Which means, dati, kung meron kaming hindi pinagkasunduan, kunyari, ayan na yung pagkain. Ayan na yung gano'n. I'll just, like a robot. But then I realized that I can be not in agreement with him with something, but our relationship as husband and wife can still be good. It takes a lot of prayer and willing it and overcoming your emotions. So, kaya ko na sa kanya mag-agree to disagree at saka kaya ko na rin matulog kung mahimbing ang tulog niya. Kaya ko na rin matulog ng mahimbing. As I've said, you know, up till now, as he mentioned a while ago, up till now, he really cares for me in terms of looking at my schedule. Sometimes when my schedule is jumbled up, he'd give suggestions on how I can pace myself. Currently, my mom and my dad, they live in Parañaque. I live here in Pasig. So I shuttle all the way, especially since I'm the only girl, you know, I'm making sure that they're taken care of and the certain details of their household is fixed. The caregiver, the all sorts. But I just wanted to say that, you know, when a woman is well loved and cared for, we really will flourish well. But so I want to encourage the men to really go out to stretch and really reach out to the woman that you love and really care for them. And remember, you are in the same team. Hindi kayo magkaaway. You are in the same team, so it's important that you talk things through, that you give each other space to grow, and that for us women, that we can be quick to encourage and slow or not say anything first when there's nothing good that will come out of our mouths. I also wanted to say lastly that to the men that remember, a happy wife is a happy life. Amen.
Thank you very much, Landa and Andy. Now, as we go to our groupings, ito yung ating discussion questions. For the men, what areas do you see yourself growing in your ability to care for your spouse or partner? Okay. Let me repeat. Maraming area. What areas do you see yourself growing in your ability to care for your partner? Now, for the women, in what area do you see your partner or spouse experience challenges when caring for you? How could you help him or support him? Okay? Repeat, what area do you see your partner or spouse experience challenges when caring for you? And how do you think you could support him? Okay, so let's break up group.